name is Jermaine J. Williams, and I'm filling in for Jabril Suleiman. Today we have a special edition of the Pensacola Perspective. It's a Justice for D, and Justice for D is D'Angelo Stallworth. He was shot and killed, unarmed black male killed by the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. And today's guest we have his attorney Eric Block, and we have the front runners of the movement of Justice for D, Brian and Brad. I'm sorry. How y'all guys doing today?
All right. Doing good, man. How you doing?
Mr. Block, if you don't mind, I'd like to start off with you. Could you give us a little information, as much as you can, about what happened that day here in Jacksonville when Mr. Stallworth was killed?
Yes, sir. First of all, thank you for having me. It's nice to be here. I'm sorry that it's necessary. What we know is that and I'm going to give you most of the facts. Most of what I tell you is from the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, which doesn't make sense. The Jacksonville Sheriff's Office say that they were at the scene of the apartment next door to where Mr. Stallworth was to service an eviction notice to people that were already gone. Allegedly, the two maintenance workers had let these two police officers in the apartment next door. It was on the second floor. They share a balcony with the apartment that was rented by Mr. Stallworth's girlfriend, and they have a 3-year-old daughter together. Mr. Stallworth was there, had come the day before to tell his girlfriend and his daughter that he had just been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis the previous week. That becomes very important. And he was an 11-year supervisor with UPS, very well-respected. People there loved him, no problems there. According to the police, while they were filling out paperwork in this empty apartment next door, there are 2 storage sheds on either side, on either apartment. And there was allegedly a blanket on the in front of the apartment that was empty, and Mr. Stallworth was walking back and forth. Allegedly, one of the police officers walked out to see what was going on. Mr. Stallworth, allegedly unprovoked, supposedly reached under the blanket, pulled out a gun, and actually held it to the police officer's chest. Both police officers were white. The other police officer was inside. This police officer allegedly yells, "Gun!" So using your common sense, what's going to happen? The other officer is going to come out and shoot him, right? That ain't what happened. Allegedly, to the cops, they decided to play WrestleMania and wrestle this gun, alleged gun, from Mr. Stallworth, who had no gun history in his life, no drug history in his life. They wrestle him. The next thing, according to the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, Mr. Stallworth, they get the gun away. The gun is found on the balcony. It's undisputed that at the time he was shot, which I'll get to in a minute, he was unarmed. The gun, if he ever even had one, was up on the balcony. Another thing that doesn't make sense to me is he then goes down a flight of stairs. Now, this is a man with MS. Just the previous Friday had been diagnosed. Goes all the way down the flight. So he had 2 trained police officers that were just wrestling this gun, alleged gun, from him. Why weren't they on top of him? They stayed up on the balcony. Makes no sense. So they stay up on the second floor, and by everyone's account, Mr. Stallworth gets to the bottom step, makes a right-hand turn to get away, and allegedly, according to the cops, and this is important, he turns towards the police officers. Now, he's unarmed at this point. Turns toward the police officers where they allegedly feared for their lives, and they shot 6 times. He continued to try to get away from them, made it a few steps until he ultimately collapsed and died. Now, one of the important things is that the Duval County Medical Examiner's Office, we've written checks, we've asked for the reports, pictures, photos, tests that can't be altered at this point, and they've refused to give them to us. So I paid, on behalf of the family, to have an autopsy done in Central Florida. And of the 6 shots, 3 of them hit Mr. Stallworth. All of them were in the back. And according to our doctor, which is a doctor, by the way, I've never met before. I wanted to use somebody that would not be accused of being collaborative with our interests, whatever. Never heard of this doctor before. And I'm going to give you all a big news scoop here in just a second that nobody knows yet. You'll be the first. But that doctor did an autopsy, found that Mr. Stallworth was shot 3 times. All of Worth's shots were from behind. The fatal shot was from behind. And what's very interesting is that the angle of all 3 bullets were going up. Now, he was shot from 1 floor up, shooting down. The only physical way that I can think of, maybe you can think of something else, the only physical way that the angle of the bullets could be down is if he was in front of the police officers on the ground, where they would have shot at him and it would have hit him in the back and gone up his body. So, and it makes sense that he would have either been falling or had already fallen and trying to get away from the police officers, so his head would be away, because number one, the area where he was shot was it was full of tree roots and it was a lot of trip hazards, and he had just been diagnosed with MS. So it makes sense that he either had already fallen or was falling at the time that he was shot in the back. The scoop that I will give you is that you may have heard of Dr. Michael Baden. He used to be the medical examiner for the state of New York. He worked on President Kennedy's assassination. He worked on Martin Luther King's assassination. He worked on O.J. Simpson's case. He worked in the Ferguson, Missouri case. I spoke with him personally yesterday, and he's interested, and we'll be making a press release later this week. He is concerned. You can imagine he's besieged with cases like this all the time. After knowing about D'Angelo's case and what I've told you all, he has agreed to review the case for us. So we're very pleased about that.
Well, that's some big news, and I'm very happy to hear that. You know, one thing, I got to give you a lot of credit, because I remember sitting in my house. You waste no time. I mean, you beat the sheriff to the punch. I mean, you went right out there and you held a press release, and you was right on the scene. You was Johnny on the spot, and I commend you a lot for that.
Well, thank you. What happened? Let me tell you about that. What happened was I was here in my office, and another lawyer, a family law attorney, here in Jacksonville, had represented one of D'Angelo's family members. She called from the scene, obviously distraught. It was bedlam. And he was shot, I want to say it was about between 9:30 and 10:30 in the morning. By 11:30, I got the call from my brother lawyer, who said, can you help these people out? And basically told me what he knew. My partner and I got in the car, and we were at the scene before noon. So we were there. And here's another very interesting thing. We happened to be there when the police, when JSO representatives, Jacksonville Sheriff's Office representatives, spoke to the media that day from the scene. We were actually, my partner and I were just walking to our car to leave. We happened to just walk past it. Didn't know what was happening. And interestingly, JSO specifically mentioned that they had not taken a statement from the police officers yet, because whenever there's a shooting, they have to talk to their lawyers and their union people, but they had taken statements from 2 other people, and they had only had 2 statements. Well, number one, that's not true. They had a statement from his girlfriend, which is the 3rd person, and I know that because I was present when the statement was taken. So why he didn't mention that? And of course, that statement disputes the other 2. But the other thing that's more important is that they say that when D'Angelo was running to the right, which is the quickest way to get out of there, that he stopped and turned unarmed, facing these police officers, and they were in fear for their lives. Well, the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office hadn't taken a statement from the police officers yet. How could they know that they were supposedly in fear for their lives when they hadn't taken a statement? So it stinks. I will tell you that, again, I don't want to make the same mistake that the JSO has obviously made, which is talking out of school and saying things that just aren't true. We know when they said they only had 2 statements, meaning the 2 maintenance workers that had let the cops into the apartment next door, they had actually talked to D'Angelo's girlfriend and gotten a statement from her, again, because we were in the car when she made the statement. So what I'm telling you is, if you believe everything that the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office has said, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up, and it certainly doesn't line up with the physical evidence.
And what are those officers doing now? Are they suspended, or are they still on the force, or what's going on with those officers?
That's pretty shocking. I assumed they would still be, they automatically go on administrative leave, and I assumed that they would be on administrative leave, especially in a case like this that's so disputed, until the case is resolved. I was told at a rally over a week ago, probably only 5 or 6 days after the shooting, that one of the police officers was back on the street armed and handing out cards to people. I've actually got a picture on my cell phone of his business card. He was right back out on the job carrying a gun. So it's just wrong.
Wow. And you know, and the thing I remember so distinctly about it, it was like what, days before the election, and you know, the new sheriff, he's just coming in and he's inheriting this problem, and it just to me, you know, it seems like he doesn't care. You know, his job is safe for another 2 or 4 years, and you know, and I'm glad that you're on their tail as much as you're on them, and I really commend you on that. And also same thing with you to Brad and Brian. You guys have done an excellent job in keeping D'Angelo's memory to the forefront, and also, you know, and letting people know that he wasn't a thug that the news tried to portray him out to be. He wasn't no bad guy. He did everything right and still suffer the consequences of somebody that's out here doing everything wrong. Can you guys elaborate on that a little bit more?
Yeah, it's kind of like he's one of the good guys, and if it can happen to him, it can pretty much happen to anyone. And that's what I've been trying to let everybody know. It's like, don't look over the situation. Don't forget his name, because it can hit home. It can hit close to them, you know. I want them to keep pushing, keep fighting for him, you know, share on Facebook, Twitter, whatever they have to do to make sure this doesn't go just unsolved. Like, they just lay down, you know, and let it happen.
Really, we just want to first off thank Mr. Block for everything you're doing. You kept us in the loop with everything, and that's appreciated. But as you can see, unlike Ferguson, we want to, you know, show the world and show everybody that the friends that he has is not violent. So everything we're doing is we're going to keep pushing. We're going to push nonviolent rallies. We're going to just keep, you know, trying to get these answers, man. And I don't know if they think we're going to stop, but it's not going to stop.
And you know, you guys have done a great, excellent job, matter of fact, on that, because Jacksonville is a very, very dangerous, violent city, and you know, violence can break out anywhere. But you guys have had so many rallies and so many block parties, and those things turn a little violent, and never has it happen when this D'Angelo Stall Justice for D rally, and you guys, you know, push the tag no violence. But it's almost, when you go there, you seem like you don't even have to tell them that, because you know they know why they're there, and they know that the person they're honoring has been nonviolent and has been such a stand-up citizen. They know that they have to go there and they have to act right, and they have to leave the violence and the drama at home. And you guys have a GoFundMe page, is that correct?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. You know, to raise money, you know, to help out his 3 kids, you know, to help out his girlfriend, Latrell Johnson, his kid's mother, Yashika Johnson. And everything goes through his mother as far as the GoFundMe account. But tell them a little bit more about it.
Well, the GoFundMe account, we actually stopped the GoFundMe account to help pay, you know, for certain bills and stuff that needed to be taken care of. But we did start a GoFundMe account. It went very well. You know, his mom has the complete control over that account. So whatever goes in, she has control to take out and do whatever she has to do. And as of now, man, I just want to thank people and tell them that we appreciate the donations. And like you said, when you mentioned that everything we've done with block parties is nonviolent, I want to kind of commend everybody that we work with as well, because, you know, me and Brandon do a lot, but it's a lot of other people that, you know what I'm saying, that it's not really seen.
For one, we want to give his family first. We check with them before we have anything for him. We raise money or anything like that. But he has other close friends, extremely close friends. And his girlfriend, Latrell Johnson, she's been doing a lot to go through that kind of tragedy. She'll stand up to help us with these rallies. She's just sitting at home crying, you know, going through things. So it's like, it's a group effort. A lot of people see us the majority of the time, but it's a solid group. We really have each other. We lean on each other for everything we do.
Well, and that's just, and how can people go to the GoFundMe? Well, I mean, like, how can they find the page if they want to donate?
Well, we actually stopped the GoFundMe account to help pay other things, expenses that D'Angelo had. But what we're doing now, we're doing different things. We have a basketball tournament coming up on the 11th. different things to raise money to keep the movement going and to help the kids. So right now, we don't have to go from the account anymore. We're still raising money in different ways.
Okay, yeah, we having a little audio problems. I'm sorry, but it did sound like that you said that you deactivated the page. You're not accepting donations no more, correct?
Yes, we just raising money in other ways.
Okay, excellent. And one last question to you guys. You guys having a basketball tournament coming up. Can you tell us about that and like involved for the Justice for D and in his memory?
Well, the basketball tournament is going to be held on July 11th. It's going to be a 20-team tournament. 6 players, 4 players playing at a time with 2 reserves. It's going to be 5-minute quarters, and we are going to feed everything out there. Just try to keep the name going, and we're going to try to do this annually. So this is going to be the first start of the annual event that's going to just keep his name going. And
we're pretty much inviting anybody from anywhere who plays ball, because that was his favorite thing on planet Earth to do. He was great at it, and where we're holding him at, he's never lost a basketball game. So it's like never to come out. You have to have the money paid by the 5th of July to be in the tournament. We're supplying the jerseys and all that, and we hope to have a good turnout and raise enough money to keep the movement going.
Okay, well, and and I apologize to the viewers. We are having a little technical difficulties, but and I know you probably heard most of everything he said. But Brad, can you tell us one more time? They have to have the money by July the what day is that?
July the 5th.
July the 5th. All right, and Mr. Block, one last question to you, if you don't mind. If anybody wants to get in touch with you to see how can they help you in your cause of what you're doing, is that something that you accept? And if so, like, how can they get in contact with you?
Of course. This is a community effort, and we're happy to have anybody help us at all. They can call me. My line is 904-475-9400. You hearing me all right? Are we still having me all right?
Sir?
Can you hear me all right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And my cell phone, if you want to call me directly, you can call me on my cell phone at 904-607-8888.
Well, I thank you, gentlemen, for taking out time. And I promise you guys that it was going to be kind of brief today. And I just, didn't want this to go unheard. And I know that the news report their story, and they you give them a whole 5 minutes, and they put the whole 5 minutes down to a 30-second soundbite. And I wanted to give you guys a platform to come out and really say what you want to say, and I appreciate it, and and keep doing what you're doing, and I'm going to be there with you every step of the way. And Mr. Block, Brian, and Brad, thank you very much for joining us. I really appreciate it. I really, really do, and I know the family of the Angelo Starworth appreciate you guys' effort as well.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it as well.
Have a nice day.
All right, and so you guys just stay tuned, man. We've got some more shows coming up for the Pensacola Perspective. I don't know if Jabril will be back, but I know if he's not, you'll be able to see me, and I'll be filling in for him. Until next time, thank you very much, and check back in with us.